Susie, welcome back.
Thank you.
In the last episode we talked a little bit about the different stages that a dog may go through from its early warning signs to right up until the time it will probably maybe attack a child or an adult. Can you run through all of those stages and give us some very clear examples? So how many stages are there?
There's probably 5 identifiable ones. For a more scientific discussion, obviously there would be a whole lot more in there, but the easiest way to explain them, do you want the 5?
Yeah, the 5.
It would probably start out as just uneasiness. So the dog kind of would start maybe licking its lips. It might just get up and move away. So it's not happy there. Then there'll be sort of mild or minor discomfort where it's really starting to build into, whatever. So you might get more pronounced yawning and, definite signs of lip licking. They'll get quite restless. And then they move on to irritation where they're starting to get a little bit annoyed now. So it's kind of like, if you can imagine as a human, you ask somebody to go away and leave you alone, they keep needling you. And they're just at you all the time. So there you might start to see a snarl. You might hear a little growl. You might sort of see the hackles going up, and they're starting to get really irritated. Then it will move to tension. They actually start to get really annoyed now. So when they're tense like that, you might notice that they go very still and they will stare at you. And there'll be a tail movement. It's not wagging, it is moving from side to side, but it's generally not held as high. Sometimes it will whip a little bit, almost like cats do when they're annoyed. Ears will go up or down. Now generally when they start to get really angry, they'll hold their ears flat against their head, and then in concert with that will be other really overt warning signs, like they will show their teeth. They will go into a full snarl. It won't just be a tiny little lip movement that is almost imperceptible. It will be obvious. Now at that point, we start to think like prey. We should really be thinking about getting out of there. But you need to do that carefully, because when you get to that point where the animal's tense like that, and they're very still and they're staring at you, they're thinking then they might gather themselves and have a go at you. So that's when you must never stare. You make a very exaggerated head movement where you turn your head and you don't look at them. You must be submissive. If you want to get out of there intact, you don't take on a big dog. A smaller dog, you're probably going to get bitten, but that's okay. If you really want to push your dominance, that's entirely up to you. But children, we will teach. That's where that comes into look away, back away, but never run away, never turn and run. They will chase you. They can't help it. That's the way they're wired. And then from tension, they go into crisis, which is when they attack you. So there are ways. Once you get to crisis, what we try to do is show you what to do if you could think enough about it at the time, what to do to help minimise the damage. And I don't like to talk about that, but the fact is that sometimes things happen and we naturally try to get away and we pull our arms and, and do all that. So, and dogs will bite, and a lot of the damage is more internal because of the bite pressure. So they cause crush injuries rather than sort of immediate sort of open gaping wounds. It's when we pull. But that I'm sort of a bit off topic now, but what we aim to do is stop it at, the unease and the minor discomfort. That's where we need to stop this, because then the dog learns as well. Like I said, the dog learns that's okay, I can keep giving these warnings because somebody's noticing. And that's when the child learns that, look what this dog's doing. Oh, now this is going to end badly. Some people only learn through experience, unfortunately. And I made a stupid mistake one day and I got bitten quite badly by little Chester, who, was invited to the owner's house. I went to pick him up and he answered the door when I knocked. It's just Chester and his owner. And he threw himself at that wide door. Like, he was really angry and I was way too far. I didn't crouch far too close. And he didn't like me on his territory. Now, I don't know why I didn't take myself out of that situation, move to the gate, which is where I should have been, But when the owner opened the door, even though she had him on the lead, he just bit me on the leg. Now, he bit me and he meant to bite me. And it was my own fault. I didn't pay attention to what he said. And he was trying to warn me to get away. And when he hurled his body at the door, I should have left, and I didn't. So it wasn't Chester's fault, it was my fault.
Can you give me a scenario of how quickly a dog may go from unease to crisis? Give me a story that a parent can be listening to that says, that looks like a familiar thing that happens at our house.
Well, one of the more common ones is, especially with younger children, let's say they go and visit and, you know, Auntie so-and-so has this fabulous, beautiful Labrador who's lying in its bed taking no notice of what's going on around it and wants to be left alone because it hasn't actually, you know, sort of stood up and gone to join the fun. So you would think it just wants to be alone. I've seen when, you know, little kids, you know, maybe the age of 3, 4, 5, will run in and flop on a big dog. Now that, especially when they're asleep, that is hugely confronting and very off-putting. And sometimes they will then just bite out of fear. Even when that dog's not considered a biter or a fear biter or aggressive, it will do something that you don't see coming. Or, you know, like with Tilly, let's say with the collie. She wanted to keep playing, Tilly wanted to play, the dog wanted to walk away, and Tilly pulled its tail. Now, at what point that dog decided to turn around, I don't know about what had happened in there in between because I wasn't there, but pulling the tail is a huge, big no-no for a dog.
Would that be like pulling someone's hair?
Yes, exactly like that. Or saying, no, you can't leave, and grabbing somebody by the arm, you're not to leave. What's your natural instinct? Leave me alone. We can verbalise that, thankfully, and we can moderate our responses. Sometimes for those dogs, though, it's just instinct. They just whip around and that's it. And the only thing they have available to them are their teeth. Now, most of us should really choose a dog with teeth like Tic Tacs, because then even if they bite you, the damage won't be so great. But we don't always do that. You know, some people have big dogs, and they have big dogs and they're trained well, but they're still a dog. And they will still have instinctive responses to things just like humans do. It's like if you were asleep and I came in and jumped on you, what would your response be? It's not going to be great. It's not going to be great, is it? You'll wake up angry. I also know of another one where the dog was recovering from surgery, and the parents and the owners of the dog said to the visiting child, please leave whatever its name was alone. But this child didn't do that. And it ended horribly for the dog especially, but the child was bitten as well. So, you know, we have an obligation and we have a right and a duty of care to stop any of those situations arising. And all it takes is a tiny bit of observation. So, you know, children should never, ever, ever be left alone with a dog, regardless of whether it's a family dog or not. Don't do it. Don't set your dog up to fail, and certainly don't set your child up to be injured. It's okay, you know, afterwards to sort of think, oh, I need to do something about that. Why not do something about it beforehand? And that's why we've put this process together, these courses together, to just say to people, be aware. That's all I want everyone to do, is just be aware of what your dog's telling you.